Welcome back to the channel. We're doing a face-to-face today. You know, it's important. We're gonna talk through the market. Things are hot, things are crazy. Just sit back, relax, and welcome to PokeMarketLab. Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about this crazy market. I think we're at the point in this market where it's crazy enough and hot enough that we should, those of you who really do this, like if you've done this for a long period of time, or you're willing to do this for a long period of time from an investing and collecting standpoint, I think you should take pause. And I think you should pause and say to yourself and think about this and kind of game theory this. Is this the time when I start to liquidate a little bit? Maybe be a little fearful. Not when you go all in. You're not going to generate immense amounts of wealth by buying Journey Together booster boxes at $200 a pop right now. The money that's being made in the market by the smartest money had already deployed capital months and years ago on cheap booster boxes that no one wanted. No one wanted. It's opposite of the normal way that we think as humans to buy product that no one wants and hold on to it for a long enough period of time that it grows in value and to the point where other people want it, right? The people that are entering this hobby now that are bringing the money are the people who are going to be gone in 6 months to a couple years tops. The transient money, because the FOMO, right? It's like being at a casino, and you're like, you hear the bell, you hear people winning, you're like, oh, I can make money. Let me get into this, right? But that the difference is making money, which is the short-term thinking, versus generating wealth, which is the long-term thinking. And those to be able to deploy money and spend your hard-earned money when boxes are cheap and no one wants them, it took me a long time to figure that out. It took cycles. You have to experience the cycles yourself for you to realize that this is the opportunity. Not when it's fun and everyone's talking about it on YouTube and even the news is talking about it, right? Every store is out of stock because everyone's collecting and investing. I can make money, right? Just go to TCG Player. Everything's up. And when I say everything is up. That should give you pause. We're the closest, I'm not going to call it a bubble. We're the closest we've been to a bubble since 2021. We've had a lot of organic growth, and that's why I'm not calling it a bubble. Because the love for Pokemon, the organic love for the cards is high. But I think it's probably snowballed to the point where we have a lot of exogenous money coming in. We have a lot of investors, a lot of collectors who are coming in who aren't going to hold the product long term. They're paper hands. They're going to dump it at the first sign of trouble. And then you're going to have to find a buyer. You're going to have to find a buyer on the way down. And speaking of buyers, a point I've made on Prismatic is I'm concerned about Prismatic. It's a great product. I mean, the cards are beautiful. They're some of my favorite cards. They're beautiful. Those pull rates are bad. And I can't imagine a set like Prismatic that has not gotten into the hands of the people that truly enjoy the game or collecting to do well from a nostalgia standpoint long term, to be beloved. It's not going to be. It's not. And the connotation in the market from the people is bad. It just has it's left a bad taste in people's mouths, from the pull rates to the scalping to the lack of availability to people in retail. It's not a good experience, right? Long term, again, 5+ year investors, we want people to have positive experiences with the product long term. And that is not, I don't think anyone is out there saying that that's the case with Prismatic. Yeah, if you popped an Umbreon on your 1 or 2 boxes that you open, of course you have a different perspective. That's not most people's perspective. It's not. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that it is a specialty box with bad pull rates. And so you have 10 packs, right? 10 packs? You have 10 packs to pull something to try to get enough value to feel like it equals what you put into it. and opening a couple ETBs, and you still technically 4 ETBs, $440 worth of value to pull one SIR, I think, something around that. And you better hope it's worth as much. But what I'm saying is, like, that just feels bad. That feels bad. That's a terrible experience for people to go through. They're not going to think positively about it for long term. I hope the Pokemon Company prints the bejesus out of it. And if they do, yeah, hold on for a second. I know. I'll take it. If they do, if the price could drop, get it down to $60, $75 an ETB. If we can get it below that $100 psychological barrier, people are going to start buying it again. The question is whether they've moved on. The question is whether there's something else that's holding their attention, i.e. Team Rocket. Journey Together is not going to do it. Journey Together, the lack of attention on Journey Together, if we get reprints around the time Journey Together comes out or before for Prismatic and it's big, Prismatic could have a resurgence. People might be able to, people want the product. If you get it, if let's put it this way, if Prismatic was $50 upon release and stayed close there, again, maybe it topped out at $75 a box in ETB, this would be a completely different situation. Completely different. And if we can get that price down, I think it's going to get in people's hands. People are going to open. People want the cards. That is not the question. And I think the pull rates are fine if we have affordable boxes. Again, $110 a box for 10 packs is hard right out of the gate. That's the kind of growth we would want and expect to see from a long growth. Even 151 wasn't like that out of the gate. Crown Zenith wasn't like that out of the gate. Chaldean Fates, over $100 a box now, was not like it out of the gate. There was opportunity to get as many packs as you want for below $5 a pack, and then it grew. That is what we want. This is not what we want from an investor standpoint. And I promise you, this is not what we want. I've been there. What do you think happens? The crash comes. You're left holding expensive ETBs that you bought, right? There's people buying ETBs right now over $100, hoping they go up in value someday. And again, if you zoom out to a long enough time frame, i.e. 5+ years, yes, of course it's going to grow. But that's not what most people are going to do. Most people cannot sit it on their shelf for a long period of time, even though that sounds easy. Physically, it's easy. Emotionally, it's not easy. Most people will not be able to do that. So I think this is a time where, again, you should take pause. I think if you have some positions in some older product, maybe Sword and Shield, earlier Scarlet and Violet, if you have enough, maybe dollar cost average, maybe trim a little bit of the position. We don't want to have regret that we missed some high of the market. You can't time the market. Remember, you cannot time the market perfectly, but you can recognize that, hey, this is hot right now. If I have a few boxes, maybe I sell one and I free up some capital, and I take advantage of the situation, right? Yeah, it could always run higher. You're always going to take that risk. But you also don't want to have any regrets that you didn't liquidate when you could. Just make sure you have some of every set. You don't want to miss out on future potential. That's why it's always good. Me, 2 boxes minimum. That way, if I sell one, I always have some exposure to each set, and that way I have no regrets as it continues to ride up long term. Just checking my notes here. And yeah, everyone in the market's looking to make money. Back on the Prismatic situation, again, we need buyers in the future, okay? And the people that are scalping product for Prismatic, even the investors today, most investors, they're not going to be your buyers in 5 years. There's going to be, some people that are like, hey, this is a really cool product from 5 years ago. What we want is people who fell in love with it, right? Just like I absolutely remember my time, or my younger days with Magic products, with Pokemon products, with Fossil and base set, right? All these things. We think very fondly of that. I even think fondly of sets I've opened recently, right? Like Crown Zenith. I've said that before. And I always talk highly of Crown Zenith. That's what we want. We want people to go back and say, oh, remember opening Prismatic? How awesome and fun that was. I was able to, open a couple boxes with my friends or my family or my kids. And it brought me a piece of joy for a period of time. You know what? I'm gonna buy an ETB. I want to have a piece of that to hold on to for the rest of my life. I'll spend a few $100s to get that ETB. That is the important part. And we're not going to have that on Prismatic. And that is unfortunate. And that's why I want reprints for that set. I think we need it. The market can handle it. And, long term, there's a huge question mark in the next few months. I think Journey Together's going to do okay. It's going to do fine. Again, don't chase $200 a box. If you work at it, you can get that at MSRP. It's worth MSRP. It's not worth much more than that. Team Rocket's going to be interesting. Pokemon Company knows this. They really need to knock it out of the park with Team Rocket. Not because the market's going to do anything crazy or anything like that. But there's just so much. I think there's a lot baked into the market. We talk about this on the stock market side of things with some, when we compare companies, we look at like earnings per share and so on and so forth, and the overall valuation to say, is the market, is there a hype essentially in the purchase price of a stock at that moment, or is it recognizing the right things that are happening with the company versus just hype, right? And I think there's a lot of that there's going to be some of that baked into the market as a whole in Pokemon right now. Team Rocket has been something people have been talking about quite heavily. And I think the market will probably get a good punch in the gut if it falls flat. It would take a lot for it to fall flat, and I don't think the Pokemon Company is going to let that happen. I think it needs to. I think even a B+ set would be, or B or B+ set would be enough to keep the market going. And again, I don't think there's any kind of risk of crash or anything like that. It could soften the market though if it falls flat a bit, which again, I think we need to even out a little bit. I think the pendulum has swung a little too far. Again, I mentioned this in another video. I'm traveling this week, hence the background here. And I love, every time I travel, I hit up a couple local stores. I love to see the different communities, see the different stores, how they're laid out, the products that they carry, all that. It's devoid of sealed Pokemon product. And anything that's left is 50% above MSRP. Or actually 50% above TCG player even. And it's not, I mean, you can't get it. You can't get product. Not at any reasonable price. Maybe Shrouded Fable, but does that count really at the end of the day? So, but yeah, the pendulum has swung too far, and it just needs to settle a little bit. Again, we want solid growth, just even keel growth over a long period of time, because there's going to be a lot of bad feelings when the market inevitably, remember, nothing goes up forever, nothing stays down forever. Inevitably, people are going to be left holding the bag. And hopefully, I am going to be the one, and you are going to be the one, hopefully, for smart enough, you're going to have some money set aside for when the market does inevitably soften a little bit, not crash, soften, to deploy some capital and buy some of these really good products that have inevitably get depressed a little bit in price. And you can, back the truck up, so to speak, and start making decisions that set you up to generate wealth in the future. Planting trees that grow slowly and don't bear fruit for a long period of time. Yeah, it's difficult to do. But as with Pokemon and as with life, right, nothing is fast. There is no book. There is no shortcut. There's no course that anyone can sell you to give you what you need to be successful or to make you a quick buck. Yeah, you can make a quick buck sometimes. But again, wealth. Wealth is what we want, right? Wealth, it gives us the financial freedom to do what we want to do, which is to buy more Pokemon cards, right? So that's it. That's my quick talk, my face-to-face. I hope you're doing well. Remember, comment below if you like what we're doing. Like and subscribe. PokeMarketLab.